What is up, everybody? My name is Logan Strom. Welcome to CTF Strom Talks Football. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys my NFL power rankings as of Week 15. I believe the last time I did a power rankings was like Week 8 or 9, and a lot has changed since then, so let's see how these teams rank against each other today. So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, turn on notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos whenever I post. With all that out of the way, let's get started. So kicking off the power rankings at number 32, we've got the Raiders. They have been the worst team in football. All their players are getting injured. The only good player they have now is Max Crosby, and their coach is an idiot. They're looking like they're in the best shape to have the number 1 overall pick in this upcoming draft, and they're already eliminated from the playoffs, so all we can say about the Raiders is better luck next year. At number 31, give me the Giants. One thing that keeps the Giants above the Raiders, in my opinion, is they just have a little bit more talent on that team. Other than that, their coaching doesn't seem like it's been working, even though I still kind of believe in Brian Daboll, even though I do believe he might get his coaching job over with after this season. And I do believe their defense is solid whenever they've been able to keep up, in the games. But they've hardly been able to just because the offense is just not getting anything done, so they're just getting gassed. Plus, it's also injuries, too. This is another team that just cannot get away from injuries, so I think they're going to go for a quarterback in the draft. They'll probably have the 2nd overall pick. I got them at 31. At number 30, give me the Patriots. I still believe Drake May can be a great quarterback someday. If they just give him some weapons and also build up that offensive line, he can be a stud. But for now, we're ranking teams off of this year. This year has just not been a good year for the Pats. Injuries all around their team. Defense has been kind of struggling lately, even though I think Christian Gonzalez is still a stud. And then other than Hunter Henry and then Ramondre Stevenson sometimes, who do they have on offense? That's threatening. Nobody. They have nobody good on that team. At number 29, give me the Jaguars. Out of all these teams in the bottom, this one's been the most frustrating to watch just because the fact that we had this team as a playoff contender at the start of the year is just historical to me. Their offense is awful. Trevor Lawrence is playing some of his worst football in his career when he was healthy. Now he's hurt again. Travis Etienne's been horrible. Their wide receivers are good, but they just can't get the ball. Their defense is pretty good too, but again, they just can't seem to finish a game just because they're getting gassed because their offense is so horrible. And the biggest thing about this team is that their coaching is historically awful, man. And they're doing nothing to fix it either. This is why I think they're gonna get blown out by the Jets. Realistically, that would get all their coaches fired. It has to happen. Doug Peterson's a one-season wonder, man. He makes one season work. He takes them really far, and after that, it's just dog shit the rest of the time on his team. At number 28, give me the Titans. There are some bright spots for this team, like Tony Pollard and their defense. Both have been pretty good. And also, their receivers have been pretty solid lately. But other than that, their offense is terrible. Their offensive line hysterically awful. Will Levis is just proving himself more to be a terrible quarterback. And I'm not going to lie, their coaching just hasn't been working. They should have kept Mike Vrabel. I'm just saying. So, yeah, this season for the Titans has just been a mess. That's all I can say. At number 27, give me the Bears. I don't care if they're 4-9, man. They look like a bottom team to me. They look awful. Matt Eberflus or no Matt Eberflus. They look terrible. They got their shit wrecked by an injury-prone 49ers, man. They looked awful. Caleb Williams is just not developing the way he should. All their players seem like they're moving around like they're washed up. Their defense is great, but at the same time, they just can't finish a game without getting gassed because their offense is so terrible. Their offensive line is terrible. Their coaching is terrible. Everything about that organization is terrible. I have no shame with putting the Bears here. At number 26, give me the Panthers. Even though they have been rallying lately and they have looked heavily improved compared to last season, you can't just say they haven't been a pretty bad team because you'd be lying if you said that. They're still a bad team, but they're just not playing as bad as they usually do. I will say Bryce Young has been developing, and the receiving core, even though it's pretty bad, is making it work, and their defense is pretty solid as well. Maybe not this season, but next season, if they can just build on their offensive line and get some more weapons, this team could be pretty solid next year. I believe in the Panthers. At number 25, give me the Jets. This is a team where they experimented with a high value player and it just went completely wrong. First year with the Jets, he was injured after week 1 with a torn Achilles, and then the second year he has looked washed up and old. Their offense looks terrible. Their defense looks atrocious without Robert Saleh. I mean, Robert Saleh wasn't the best coach, but he kept one thing going, and that was their defense. Like, this season has proved one thing, is that there are way more problems with this team than just the team itself. Like, it's got to go somewhere with management and ownership, man. Like, this team is just cursed. At number 24, give me the Browns. Just like the Panthers, they have been rallying just a little bit, and they're also a very likable team, especially with Jameis Winston playing quarterback. Like, I love the guy. You can't deny the fact that they just have not been a good team like this whole season. Like, they've gone from being a playoff team to one of the worst teams in the NFL at 3-10. Like, it's a huge dysfunctional mess over there. But I will say I would not blame all of the coaching for this. I still think Kevin Stefanski is a good coach. It's just hard. It's hard to do anything with that core, because it's a very untalented core, in my opinion. Other than the obvious ones like Jameis sometimes, David Njoku, Myles Garrett, and Nick Chubb. Hopefully, I pray that he plays better next season. Same with the Panthers. If they just build on their offensive line, and as long as they hopefully don't have to deal with Deshaun Watson anymore, maybe this team can go next year. Who knows? At number 23, give me the Cowboys. Out of all these teams that are bad, these are the biggest clowns in the NFL, man. Look how bad they've been doing this season, and this whole team still thinks they're a playoff team. It's ridiculous. Jerry Jones is the biggest moron in football right now. Their defense is pretty bad. Their offense is horrible. There's so much going wrong with this team. Injuries is a big problem too. I won't ignore that. Injuries have been bad too. But Jerry Jones has just been their biggest problem there, man. He thinks that they're this amazing team, even though there's a lot of big flaws over there. So nothing has been going well with this team at all. At number 22, give me the Saints. Just like the Cowboys, this is another team that thinks they're better than they really are, and they're just screwing themselves out of a high draft pick, man. It's so frustrating. This team has so many flaws, and it's just so obvious, and they're just not doing anything about it. Our offense is trash. Our defense is, it's solid sometimes. Our roster's really old. We got rid of one of our bigger problems, Dennis Allen, but we got to get rid of our game manager, man. He's been terrible. This team just needs a whole new refresh, a new rebuild. We need to stop sticking with the same old roster. It's just not working anymore. And also injuries, of course, have been a huge problem. We have lost 2 of our starting receivers, Taysom Hill, Derek Carr, and a whole bunch of defensive players too. 2 starting corners. It's ridiculous. So yeah, Saints at number 22. At number 21, give me the Colts. I don't care that this team is 6-7. They do not look like a 6-7 team. They look like a 4-9 team. This team looks terrible. Their offense is so spotty. Their defense is atrocious. This team is just so hit or miss, it's insane. And most of the time they miss. And the fact that they have a decent shot of making the playoffs is just so funny to me. That just shows how much of bad talent there are in this league. That just shows how bad teams have been this season. That it's just funny to me. At number 20, give me the Bengals. This team is so frustrating to watch because you have players like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase putting up some of the best numbers they have ever had in their career, and they're losing almost every game. And also, their defense is absolutely horrible, man. It's against the Cowboys especially, their defense is terrible. And at this point, with how great Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have been this season, you got to look at coaching, man. Zach Taylor just has not been that good of a coach the last couple seasons. So they have a lot of big decisions to make during this offseason because so far, even though they still have an okay shot of making the playoffs, it's not looking good for Cincinnati. At number 19, give me the Dolphins. They have had a roller coaster of a season with Tua getting another concussion, defensive injuries, defensive struggles, coaching issues. This team is just a roller coaster right now. And again, this is what shows how bad teams have been this season. Like, the Dolphins have a decent shot at making the playoffs as well. Like, it's so weird to me. This team is nowhere near a playoff team. Like, if you watch this team, like, they are nowhere near a playoff team at all. And you got players like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, like, second questioning their decisions on staying in Miami. Like, it's getting ugly over there, and it's getting ugly fast. At number 18, give me the Cardinals. They have been playing some horrible football lately. Like, Kyler Murray's been making stupid throwing decisions. Their offense just not moving the ball well. Their defense has just been getting exposed every week. Like, it's not looking good, man. Like, they got whooped by the Seahawks in Arizona. Like, that was embarrassing to watch. And then so far this season, Kyler Murray has reminded me a lot about Russell Wilson, like, later in his career with the Seahawks, where he starts up electric and he looks like one of the better quarterbacks in football. And then he ends the season so poorly, and it just balances his numbers, I guess. Like, it's just so weird to watch. So there's a lot of things the Cardinals need to clean up. But if they do, and especially with how bad their division has been, they still have a shot to make the playoffs. At number 17, give me the Niners. I will say this is the most cursed team out of all these teams when it comes to injuries. Like, their whole offense and whole defense is, like, almost all of them are on injured reserve. Like, it's ridiculous. But if you watch this team, like, you will see there's a lot more flaws than just injuries. Like, their offense just have been struggling this season. Their offensive line is terrible. Their defense is terrible. Their coaching hasn't been great. Their play calling hasn't been great. Kyle Shanahan's decision-making has been pretty bad this season, too. Like, there's a lot of questions with this team that just haven't been answered yet. And especially tonight, like, they have a big game against the Rams. If they lose tonight, like, their season is going to seem like it's going to be over. So they have a must-win game tonight, and if they don't win, yeah, their season's going to be over for sure. I got the Niners at 17. At number 16, give me the Falcons. These are the biggest frauds in the NFL, man. I swear. Their offense looks pretty shaky sometimes. Kirk Cousins has been playing some of his worst football in his career. Their defense is atrocious, especially their secondary. It's so embarrassing to watch. And also, I don't think Raheem Morris is that great of a head coach. Like, that's just my opinion, but, like, so far, he just has not been able to do anything with what's supposed to be a talented group of, like, players on this team. And even though Kirk Cousins has been playing some horrible ball, like, it's still embarrassing to watch. And they had their division right in their grasp, and now they're losing it, and Tampa Bay has the lead. Like, this team has been embarrassing. At number 15, give me the Bucks. They have been rallying lately, especially with how much injuries this team has. Like, they have been cursed with a lot of injuries lately, too. But they're still been able to rally. They're still a talented team, and Baker Mayfield is still a great quarterback. This is a very underrated team to me, because if they make the playoffs somehow, they can possibly win a playoff game. Like, I'm not sure who they would play, but I can see them do it. Like, Tampa Bay is a pretty solid team in my opinion. At number 14, give me the Texans. I don't think me saying I overrated this team in my last Power Rankings video would do justice because, like, holy crap, man, that was a huge mistake I made. This team sucks. They are the worst 8-5 team I have ever watched, man. Like, their offense is so dysfunctional. CJ Stroud's been playing some of his worst football. Their offensive line is terrible. Like, it's mostly been their offense. Their defense hasn't been much of a problem. Like, sometimes their secondary can be a little hit or miss, but it's mostly been their offense, man. It's so embarrassing to watch. Like, this is what I think is going to happen. They're going to make the playoffs, obviously, because their division sucks. But they're going to play probably the Steelers or the Ravens, and they're going to get their asses kicked, and they're going to be one and done. Like, this team is just not a playoff team to me. At number 13, give me the Rams. They have looked pretty damn good the last couple weeks, especially against the Bills. Like, they've looked phenomenal in that game. Like, their offense has been able to roll. Their defense is pretty underrated, in my opinion. And I think they're going to be a pretty solid team in the playoffs. And I know the Seahawks have a pretty slim lead in their division, but I can see the Rams taking over that division too. Like, the NFC West has been a roller coaster, so I can see that happening. It also really helps that Sean McVay's their head coach, man. He's one of the best head coaches in the NFL. Like, he can make a team like the Rams go from being a terrible looking team to one of the better teams in the NFL, like nothing. This team is extremely talented, and I can see them making the playoffs pretty easily. At number 12, give me the Seahawks. There are a lot of big flaws with this team. Like, their defense is hit or miss, and their offense can sometimes stall, and their special teams are atrocious. But at the same time, this team has been pretty damn good this season. Like, they've been underrated. Geno Smith has been playing some good football. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been proving himself to be the best receiver on that team. Kenneth Walker, even though he's been injured, whenever he has played, he's been good. And their defensive line has been pretty solid this season, too. Like, it's been pretty good to see. So even though I think the Rams are a more talented team, like the Seahawks have just been the better team this season. I got them at 12. At number 11, give me the Broncos. There's another team I'll name later, but this team is tied with probably the most improved team in the NFL this season. Like, who thought this team was going to be this good? Better yet, who thought Bo Nix was going to be the best quarterback in this whole draft so far? Like, he's been great this season. Their offense has been able to move pretty well, and their defense is one of the best in football. And even though I don't like the guy, Sean Payton has been a great coach for them. Like, he's been able to make it work over there. I can see this team possibly rallying in the playoffs, and their future is looking pretty bright. I got the Broncos at 11. All right, so moving on in the top 10, at number 10, I've got the Chargers. Another very improved team compared to last season, man. Like, it just shows how much a great head coach can change a team. Like, Jim Harbaugh has been great for this team. Justin Herbert has obviously been great. J.K. Dobbins, when he has been able to play, he's been phenomenal this season. And even though they don't have that much talent at receiving, like, look at Ladd McConkey, their rookie receiver. He's been great, too. He's very underrated. And another very improved part about this team is their defense. Their defense has been one of the best in the league this season. Like, again, it's kind of crazy to see how much a head coach can change this team, like, in a matter of seconds. They went from an idiot to a genius, like, in a year. Like, how crazy is that? This team is very talented, and I can see this team doing well in the playoffs. At number 9, give me the Commanders. Another heavily improved team, but at the same time, there are some flaws with this team that have been easily spotted the last couple weeks. For one, their offense can be kind of spotty when it comes to red zone, and also their defense isn't all that great. But at the same time, like, this team has been really good this season, especially Jaden Daniels. He's been great. And also, another flaw I'd like to name from this team is their coaching. Like, sometimes, like, lately it's been good, but at the same time, they try to remind you that, oh yeah, it's Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury. Like, I almost forgot. But they've still been good this season. I wouldn't count them out. At number 8, give me the Ravens. Very talented team for sure, especially on offense. And I still think John Harbaugh is a decent coach, even though he's made a lot of dumb decisions so far this season that can possibly get him canned if they don't do anything this season. But there are a lot of big flaws, like, with his team. Like, coaching a little bit, I just named with John Harbaugh. Like, he needs to keep himself together if he wants to keep his job. And also, their defense is terrible, man. Like, I've been naming it this whole season. Like, their defense is just not a playoff defense. Like, if they play a high-level team like the Chiefs or even the Steelers, like, they're not going to win. Like, that's just me. Like, they're a great team, especially adding Derrick Henry. But I just don't think I don't think they're a Super Bowl team yet. At number 7, give me the Packers. Jordan Love has done the same thing this season as he did last season. Started off pretty slow, but so far he's been ending pretty strong. Like, Jordan Love has been playing great the last few weeks, and the Packers have been looking good the last 3 weeks. Like, they've been looking pretty damn good. I've been saying all season the Packers defense is very underrated, and I still think the Packers offense is one of the better offenses in football. Josh Jacobs is playing great football. The receiving's pretty solid, even though Jaden Reed makes me want to bang my head on a wall sometimes. And Tucker Kraft has been one of the most underrated tight ends in football, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot of great aspects to this team. And so I can see them doing well in the playoffs. I got them at number 7. At number 6, give me the Steelers. This team is heavily improved as well. Like, Russell Wilson especially. Like, when they put Russell Wilson as starting quarterback, I was laughing at them for making that decision. And then ever since, he's been shutting me up. Like, he's been playing great football. Their offense has been great again. Like, their defense is probably the best defense in football. Their special teams are electric. Like, and they're, like, the one thing that's keeping them together is Mike Tomlin and their coaching. Like, it's been great to see for the Steelers. So I see 2 scenarios with this team. 1, they surprise us in the playoffs, or 2, they go one and done. Like, it's going to go either way. But I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. Steelers at number 6. At number 5, give me the Vikings. Very talented offense and a very talented coach. Like, It's so crazy how Kevin O'Connell can change a quarterback from being mediocre to one of the better quarterbacks in football. Like, it's like magic. Sam Darnold's been playing such a great season, and Justin Jefferson's been great because he's been healthy finally. Jordan Addison's been great. Aaron Jones has been great. TJ Hawkinson's finally been able to play, and he's been able to click. And also, their defense is one of the best defenses in football as well. Like, this team looks phenomenal. Like, if you ask me, like, this team looks a lot better than they did in 2022 when they were 13-3 or something. Like, I think they're like 13-4. Like, this team looks so much better than that season. But I will say one thing about the Vikings, like, they're either gonna, this is their best shot to make it to the Super Bowl, because after that, they're gonna have to make a lot of tough decisions in the offseason with Sam Darnold, and also they're probably gonna lose Brian Flores till Brian Flores can be a head coach. Like, they're either going to have to win now or this is going to be a bust season. Like, but we might as well enjoy it while it lasts. Like, Vikings at number 5. At number 4, give me the Eagles. A very heavily improved team compared to last season. Like, very heavily improved. Like, they have looked a whole lot better. Their offense, even though it hasn't been able to click completely, Saquon Barkley's been playing some of his best football he's ever played. Like, Jalen Hurts has still been pretty good. Like, their receiving core, even though it's been spotty, has been still great. And also, their defense has been great. Like, it's so funny how bad Nick Sirianni is as a head coach, but it gets carried by all this talent. Like, that's the only reason why he still has a job. And that's probably the biggest flaw is coaching. Like, their coaching has been terrible, but it's just crazy how much talent they have on that team to where it's not, like, seen as a big problem. So, like, only the real NFL fans will see how bad their coaching has been. But other than that, the Eagles have been a great team. I have them at number 4. At number 3, give me the Chiefs. I don't care if this team is 12-1. Like, they just haven't been playing great football. And I know they did this last season, but even last season they looked better than this season, man. Like, they're so spotty. Like, watch, even this upcoming week, like, they're going to play the Browns, and they're going to make the Browns look competitive against them. Like, it's just so weird to watch, and I just don't, like, even though I have been jinxed, like, enough times. Like, I just don't think this team is a Super Bowl team. Like, I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl this season. I really don't. Watch, I'm going to jinx myself again. They're going to make the Super Bowl, damn it. But other than that, yeah, the Chiefs are a great team, obviously. They still have Andy Reid. They still have their best, like, one of the best offensive football. They still have a great defense. I got the Chiefs at 3. At number 2, give me the Bills. I don't care that this team is 10-3. Like, they've been playing some great football lately, especially Josh Allen. Josh Allen has been the best quarterback in football this season. That's just my opinion. Their offense has been great. James Cook's been great. Like, their receiving core's been great, especially having Amari Cooper in there. Like, finally, like, a great wide receiver to add on to that offense. Their defense has finally been able to click, especially that Matt Milano's back. Like, that's such a great key, like, defensive player to have. And their coaching is phenomenal, man. Sean McDermott's such a great head coach. Like, without him, the Bills wouldn't be nearly as good as they are. I think out of all the AFC teams, this team has the best shot to make the Super Bowl right now. The Bills at number 2. And finally, at number 1, I've got the Lions. Their offense is nearly flawless, man. At running back, like, receivers, tight end, offensive line's been the best in football. Like, quarterback, you name it, man. Like, their offense is the best in football. And I will say, like, their defense has been heavily injured this season. Like, almost all their starters on defense are injured. Like, they've still been playing great football. Like, it's so great to see, especially that the Lions have been known for having a bad defense. Like, this season's been different. And also, their coaching is phenomenal. Like, Dan Campbell's such a great head coach. Even though he's made a couple dumb decisions, like, he means it in good heart. And most of the time, it works. So, like, that's why I still think he's a great head coach. And out of all the teams in the NFC, I think they would make the Super Bowl. They have looked the best they have ever been, and I've got the Lions at number 1. And there you guys have it. Those are my NFL power rankings as of Week 15. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below on where your favorite team would go and what your power rankings look like. I would love to know. So with all that being said, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, turn on notification bells so you don't miss any of my videos whenever I post. I'm Logan Sharon. I'll see you next time.